Initiating System 1. System 1 loaded.
The GoreCast is brought to you by American Horrors, the greatest uncut horror channel in the world. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all horror. As well as the station of decapitation without your head.
America's longest running horror channel, www.withoutyourhead.com.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
What's up, Gorecasters? Welcome back here to the Gorecast with me, Johnny Deadly, and all of the rest of my normally horror news roundup Tuesday kind of peeps, but we've obscured and absconded away from the news for a Tuesday. The coif has been put away, the hat has been put on, and we are here to do an interview with the lovely people from the Dark Offerings again. How's everybody getting on?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Doing great.
Yeah.
All of the Gorecast viewers, I'm sure, are aware of Elizabeth, but if everybody else wants to introduce themselves and say hello to everybody.
Yay.
Sure. I'll start, I guess. Hi, I'm David Howard Thornton. You might also know me as Art the Clown from another movie called Terrifier, but I'm also in Dark Offerings too. I play Tim.
Hey everyone, I'm Lydia. I play Emily in the Dark Offerings. Glad to be here.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome everybody.
Thank you.
Elizabeth can reintroduce herself if she wants to.
I'm Elizabeth. I play Sophia in the Dark Offerings. So, hi.
So, for anybody who wasn't here the last time that we had Elizabeth on, Dark Offerings was a new movie that came out on Amazon about a load of people who were all very realistically trapped during lockdown. And
Yes.
Unfortunately, some demonic shenanigans go afoot. And some interweb murders, murders that are seen happen over the interwebs, not literally directly interweb murders, happen. That'll be my brief synopsis of the movie for the moment.
No spoilers.
Did anyone want to fill us in a little bit more?
Yeah, I can. So basically, just a quick overview. So I play Sophia, who is thrust into a horrifying world after her brother James, played by Benjamin Frankenberg, brings her into a fatal situation. He passes a demon on to her that she must then pass to others within 6 days, or they both die. So basically, Sophia has to make a choice between saving her brother, who's the only family she has left, or to find a way to end the curse in this terrifying film called The Dark Offerings.
Yes. Very well done.
And we have Lydia here today, who plays Emily, my friend, and David, who plays Tim, who is James's significant other. So, yeah.
Is it not your friend?
Were you smiling about the friend thing? 'Cause
No, I was smiling because I was sitting there kind of going, this is great. We brought somebody on to interview, and it's almost like, it's great. It's like they're taking over the show so we can sit back, relax, and just watch for a change. It's fun.
Well, that ends now.
Yeah, I noticed. Crap, back to work.
Right.
So, Dark Offerings was the first movie, from what I understand, when all of the new COVID regulations about how movie sets and filming on a set and just being generally allowed to go out and make a movie again were done. And you were the first movie to be fully within the guidelines, I suppose.
Yeah.
Did you find that
Yeah.
phenomenally restrictive?
Well, it was definitely a learning curve. We were definitely the first one, from what I know, of shooting. I think some others may have gotten through the post-production a little bit quicker than us. But yeah, it was a bit challenging because the whole Zoom format was very new to all of us. So it was a lot of crash course of just like, okay, what do we need to do? Okay, you record yours, I'll record mine. And then, what was the thing that we used to always say? Gallery
speaker.
Yes, because we learned that, if you don't, back then, if you didn't switch, it didn't film you in widescreen. It would just do a small window.
Oh.
So it was a huge learning curve.
We are what the kids, I would believe, refer to as Zoom noobs. We don't really, we're not up on the Zooms. I'm an old man.
Well, and I think
we've been mainly sick of
I
this.
was such an old man.
I'm an old man and I don't like change.
And I think like
I'm so.
I let them touch everything for me. I was like, I don't want to like just make something explode.
Yeah.
Well, that was just it. Like I think Zoom was really just when it first started was like for businesses and what have you. And that whole lockdown just kind of really changed that whole scope. Like Elizabeth was talking about, like now everybody, if they wanted to do something, had to figure it out. Luckily for some of us, Skype was still cool, but it was kind of cool though because it also opened a whole new kind of generation of just imagination of filming and how to do something with restraints and constrictions and stuff like that.
Well, it's like they said, necessity is the mother of all invention. And when you're forced into a corner whereby you have all these restrictions and you're limited in what resources you can use, you have to figure out new ways of using those resources in such a way to maximize their potential and still be able to do what it is that you want to do. And the fact that you were able to do it, so the fact that you were able to adapt to something that had basically, like you were saying, Carter, came from a business program that someone kind of went, well, clearly this is the best way of handling multiple people on a call at the same time. Why not make it more fun for people since they're stuck indoors? You took those notions and used it in terms of filmmaking, whereby whatever extra features would have been put on for the sake of people being able to use this as a general public rather than a business thing, you're now integrating them into how you are telling a story. And considering that we've seen other people doing similar things in the past when they didn't have those restrictions, ye then took it and made it more entertaining than some of the stuff that we'd seen previously while legitimately being under these restrictions and trying to explore this technology for the first time. That's very impressive.
Oh yeah, because like
Thanks.
Because we've definitely had that type of stuff before those movies, but this was definitely, like she was saying, a learning curve, but also really interesting to watch play out.
Thank you. Like I said, it was a huge learning curve, and just trying to figure it out was the biggest challenge. And the fact that we couldn't see each other at all, because a lot of us didn't, from when we started filming, which is basically the beginning of the pandemic, to basically our wrap party was the first time that we actually like saw a lot of each other in person, and some of us still have not quite met. So it's in person at least, so this really helped bring us together when we couldn't be anywhere near each other. So
From an acting standpoint, did you, and I suppose this is kind of like open to the room, did you find it very difficult? Because I mean, like, a lot of acting is bouncing off of your other actor, and I know you're digitally there, but I mean, it's not the same as having a physical presence in front of you.
It's interesting because it's not quite the same connecting digitally as it would be in person acting, but I don't know whether we were just lucky or what, but it seemed like we all just meshed together so well right from the start. I mean, I remember there was one day where there's so many outtakes because we just couldn't stop laughing.
I remember that day.
We genuinely had such a blast just hanging out together doing this film. And so, like I said, I don't know whether we just lucked out in just having the right people and like the coolest people, but it seemed like, I don't know, for some reason, I felt like we just had a really easy time connecting, which was really awesome.
Do you think the whole like Zoom format actually helped that? Because I suppose you feel a little more comfortable and unrestricted because you are essentially sitting in your own home. You know what I mean?
Maybe that might have been a contributing factor. Yeah, for sure.
I liked it. I mean, I know some of the others were saying how jolting it is to watch yourself on camera, but it helped. It forced to look at the other person. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does do that because you're like, I don't want to look at myself at all.
just kind of look.
seeing myself.
I like hitting it.
I don't know. I didn't really find that all that distracting, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think before the pandemic, I'd still done like a decent enough amount of like self-tape auditions. So I don't know. Maybe I just got used to it. I don't know. I didn't find it all that distracting, but I definitely can see how it would be distracting though, for sure.
Yeah, that's something definitely that we all, the four of us, do because like we're so spread apart because Johnny and Giz are in Ireland, I'm in Michigan, Carter's in Missouri, so that's kind of like how we've been having to do it this whole time. So it's definitely it's hard. It can be hard. You guys did great though. So
It definitely forces you to like pay more attention to your scene partners too, because it's like, it's a weird, the slight disconnect because you're not actually in the room with each other. So you really have to make sure you're really listening to each other, so you're not talking over each other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's hard to explain, but that's the one thing I found was kind of different about it for me. I was like, wow, this is a little bit more
Oh,
challenging.
don't worry, you don't
Yeah,
need to
I
explain
definitely
talking
get
over
that,
it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
that was perfect timing.
Pat on the back to
Yeah,
you,
for
sir.
sure. I found myself like, I feel like it did hone that skill of like really listening to your scene partners for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely felt that as well.
We still
We
struggle.
had
Especially like,
we
especially when you're doing really intense, emotionally charged scenes, you really have to just really listen.
with Zoom especially because it'll completely break off a word that somebody says. So somebody can be screaming and it's just like, Abba, what? I didn't hear you.
yep.
What about ABBA?
You're a great band.
Mamma mia! Here she goes again.
Yeah.
My.
One of the questions I was going to have is for David and Lydia is what was your first impression of like the script and the story when you were first approached to do the roles?
My first impression is how amazingly well fleshed out the characters are. Like it's not just a horror movie with like, blood or this or that, whatever, like it has such amazing character development, and that's what first drew me into the script, because it's like, okay, this is not just some horror movie with scares or whatever. It's got real characters that are very complex and very layered.
There's some nice twists that kind of draw you in over the course of it. As we briefly touched on before, we give you the overall thing, but what's interesting is the fact that as the story unfolds, you realize that certain things that you thought might have been kind of like just happenstance or chance, there's actually a reason behind it, and part of that is, like you were saying, the exploration of the different characters. As that happens, you're kind of like, oh, this isn't quite as random as we thought it was. Okay, this that's interesting. But that's one of the things that as we said before, kind of draws you in with this film, and just really does set it apart from some of the other attempts of this style that we've seen before, where it's just kind of like concentrating so much on the jump scares and the paint by numbers kind of approach to horror, rather than actually going along and giving us characters that we're actually giving a fuck about over the course of the film, and then learning more about them. So you become invested in the character and you learn something, you're like, oh,
Fine. Oh, so that was actually what was fun for me, because I had a little bit of a different experience from probably most of the cast, because I joined it very much late in the game. So I actually didn't read the whole entire script, and I just knew like a rough outline of what the movie was about. So like when I got to actually see the full entire cut of the film, I was like, oh my gosh! So I was watching it with fresh eyes. I was like, oh, this is great! That jerk.
Real quick, David, somebody named Brandon wanted to say hey from the chat.
Brendan.
Said it's your boy Brandon.
It's your boy Brendan.
Dude. Yeah, I know who he is. He's one of our super
Hello.
fans. What's up, Brandon?
Can't see me.
What?
Silence.
Awkward silence.
Just grab it off there for a
This
second.
thing isn't as good as I thought it was because I can see people, but I can't tell if anybody was gonna say anything.
I can start playing with the.
See, the thing is, only we're able to see that, so I'm not sure if it works. Although, I suppose on YouTube probably might work. Maybe, yeah.
From a makeup standpoint, because like awesome character development aside, and there was like I will say out of like any of those social media movies that have kind of been done, one of the things that I always found lacking was you're kind of just sitting there waiting for the okay, when are they going to start killing these people already? You know what I mean? Whereas you guys, it was kind of like by the time the killing happened, it was kind of oh no, please don't be, oh no, don't kill these people. But did you guys have a lot of makeup experience in relation to any like of the special effects stuff or anything like that? I know Elizabeth had said that you essentially got sent a care pack of like 15 million gallons of blood basically, and just were told go to town. But how did you find having to do like, because you're essentially you're your own camera guy, lighting guy, producer. You have to do a lot more than normal, if you know what I mean. How did you find that?
It was interesting. I had no experience in any of those things whatsoever. So it was definitely a learning experience for sure. But it was really cool though. It was a lot of fun learning how to, do your own special effects makeup and do the lighting and the camera angles and figure all that out. And so it was a really cool learning experience for sure.
I was pampered. They did it all for me.
David came in later. He got a little help.
Yeah.
Which was needed for his scenes. So.
Which is probably a good thing because I would have been a hot mess trying to do all of that myself. I was like, what? You want me to do what with the lighting? And I'm like, I don't know.
I just show up and be scary, can't I? Just show up and be scary?
Yeah.
Not this time.
You mean I have to talk?
Lines. What are these lines? Aww.
Oh God.
I will say it was a bit of a blowback because I hadn't even dawned on me until I heard you talking in the movie. That was like, I actually don't think I've heard this man's voice. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the irony of it. It's like, oh yeah, this is my first speaking role in a film.
And you did a great job.
Right.
Thank you. I had to do all the screaming too, and I'm like, I have a whole new like respect in all my like co-stars now in my other films for all the screaming they have to do for hours on end. I'm like, oh, this is hard.
There's a certain speciality needed to kind of cultivate the proper horror movie scream. You know what I mean? It's not it's not just your normal yell. There's kind of a high pitched toniness to it, I think.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
all stomach work. It's all like guttural. Letting it out.
Which is even harder to do when you're sitting down instead of standing up, I discovered. So it's just like,
And also difficult to record in like a Zoom-like setting because it blows out the speakers like crazy.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
That's one thing we have an issue with.
How was the, I assume it was record the screams separate?
For some of them, Lydia's especially, we had to
Go Lydia.
record separate.
Well done.
Even then, we had issues with it. So
yeah, watch out.
Good old
There's
ADR.
a scream queen in town.
Love to see it. You love to see it. Yeah, I that was something that didn't dawn on me now, that it would have been like an absolute blowout on the microphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually computer mics are not nearly as
It's like
good.
they weren't designed to make a movie on. It's
right.
Yeah, I know.
Imagine that.
But look what we did.
True. Very true.
No, like really, like when you see the after, like it's brilliant what you guys pull together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
David's with the effects and everything David's seen in particular was an interesting challenge because we were filming. We had 3 of us in a scene filming, And every time we came to a scene where David needed some sort of effects done, I had to then drive to where he was staying, put it on him, drive back, and then, continue conversing in the scene, and then do it again.
Yeah.
Drive by.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the whole entire time I'm hoping it all doesn't come apart. I'm like, oh god, no, please let this go right. And I'm like,
Elizabeth gotta come back.
Yeah, because it's like you don't want to have to do it so many times that she's got to keep coming back over to reset and everything like that too. So let's hopefully we can get this done like at 1 or 2 shots, and that's going to be it. So,
yeah,
the joys of practical effects.
I think we did. I think we, with your scenes, especially with it, we did it in maybe 2 takes.
Yeah, I think we did.
Seriously.
Yeah.
We
were
that practical effect one really held up doing multiple takes. I don't think.
It looked the best on the first one.
Yeah. A 1-take wonder. Yeah.
So, Elizabeth, did you have like any big like influences when you were writing the script? Like, did you go into any past like movies, anything that you taken from any like influences that you had when you wrote the script?
Well,
Showgirls.
I knew it.
See some influence there.
No. Well, with the characters, especially, with the pandemic, I was definitely influenced by that. With all the conversations I was seeing with people online, good and bad. The people that were really sticking it out and were just all heart, trying to make it through a bad situation, and then the arguments that I would see, and I think that really influenced the writing in terms of how I flushed out a lot of the characters and some of the drama that was going on. So
see, I gotta say,
it was a process, and then
I imagine
they were all basically, with writing them, I was starting to try and figure out who we needed in terms of characters, the funny person, the the person that's always arguing with the lead, and since they're already fighting a demon, you already have the bad guy.
Yeah.
So looking at who we were close to at the time, kind of just put this whole team together, and they did a great job.
Everybody.
And I gotta say, I think you did a good job, like you were saying, trying to find out the drama and the conflict. I've seen films where they try to do the drama and it's more forced. It doesn't really flow towards here. And maybe that's just part of everybody just working so well together, but everything flowed smoothly. It just seemed like an actual argument that everybody was having. The script just kind of flowed from section to section.
Yeah, we got really lucky because everybody got along great. We were able to just hang out, goof around beforehand, introduce everybody to each other. Everybody automatically just kind of became friends, and just, natural dialogue started happening. And then, it just transferred into the film where everybody, seemed like they knew each other and seemed like they were best friends, or, at least knew each other before.
Had that history behind them kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, there was a very natural feel to all of the characters, and I'll say when it came down to the pacing and things like that, I think that's how those arguments came up and were so effective in the storyline, because it wasn't we're all stuck in lockdown, there's a demon after us, we forgot that they need to be arguing, let's shove some stuff in here. There's these little gradual subtle clues, and you're kind of there's something. She's been knocking some boots, I think, with some people. Yeah. And then you hear it, you're like, I told you. Yeah. Yeah. But you get very invested by the time all of it, everything kind of starts to rise to the top, if you know what I mean. You're kind of like, I knew it, that goddamn. I hope a demon eats her ass.
There was a line at one point where somebody is speaking about somebody other, or someone's doing something, and something is mentioned, and automatically my eyebrow kind of went, "Hang on, that doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong, but that doesn't sound right." And then later on in the film, somebody else points it out, and it's like, "I knew it. I knew I'm not a crazy person."
Well,
on this particular topic, all right, fine.
Okay.
There are different levels
Yes,
of crazy.
that's what I keep telling people. They keep telling me get back in the room with the pads.
It's fun though. It's all
Yeah.
rubbery. You just bounce
I like
everywhere.
when they put the bubble wrap up.
Oh yeah, because you can just pop it all
Oh, that
day.
is always such a pastime.
I think we found Giz's new friend now. They can.
Bubble
Hey,
buddy.
dude, don't go knocking bubble parties, all right? Those are fun.
I mean,
I think. Look,
yes.
I think it's safe to say if someone doesn't like popping bubble wrap, they're a sociopath.
Exactly.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
gotta
like
be-
so
it's not.
therapeutic.
It's everybody likes it. It's just a magical thing.
Yeah,
It's very satisfying.
it's fun to scare people
Right
with it
up
too.
behind
You
their
put
ears.
like under like a doormat or something like that, and they're like,
I have a bad story about that because I was working at a school one time and I did that and it did not go out very well. Loud pop in a school that did not.
Oh god!
Yeah,
I
I got in
remember
trouble.
just doing that with my like Ziploc bag for my sandwiches back in the
Yeah.
day. We would always get, but this was back in the '80s before any of that kind of stuff was actually happening in school. So this
Yeah.
it was just like boom, ah, David, it wasn't me.
I miss those days.
I just wanted my sandwich.
Oh yeah. That and using my juice box, I would use like crimp the straw so I could, make my juice box shoot the straw off at somebody or
Oh,
know.
simpler times.
simple choice.
Man, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was just a nice old time, just shooting straws at each other, wandering through the grass.
Now you have to wear
Yeah.
a flak jacket
Right.
to school.
Is that a juice box? Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Throw it away. Yes, ma'am.
So I was doing a little research and Lydia, was this your first horror movie that you've done?
Yes, it was my first horror movie.
How was that?
So much fun. Oh my gosh, so much fun. It was an absolute blast.
Something you wouldn't mind doing again, or
Yeah, I would definitely not mind doing another horror.
Oh, someone's got the horror bug.
Yes, I was gonna say, right? Like that kind of sounds like somebody's got the horror bug. Like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, there's something strangely fun about doing horror films. It's just
There's
you get
There's
to
like
do
a
some
different
crazy
atmosphere
things.
on horror film sets, isn't there? I think
Yeah.
you're just you're going to be. It's just there's just going to be some crazy stuff going down, so you might as well just strap in and ride the wave, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. A lot of that, a lot of stickiness too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Goes with the territory.
I think that's the biggest problem I have
everything's
with it. I just
sticky.
It's fun.
Carter does not.
I just
It
Still
gets to
learning
be
things
fun.
about
It
everybody.
trips Carter's OCD. He doesn't like to be
It's-
sticky.
My problem's usually the cold that happens with when you're all so sticky. It depends on where you're filming though. It's like I've just been unlucky to film in environments that don't really have good heat.
A lot of
So I was actually kind of happy this time. I was like, oh, I'm inside and it's nice and warm and this is
Got
good.
a
This
heater
is
on.
good.
I don't even worry about it. Life is good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've got a
This is
question
good.
from the chat. It says, what horror film that exists would you guys like to remake or / sequel for, and why?
also Hello Bill.
Oh. Boy.
That's a good question.
Hmm.
Wow.
I have to think about that for a second.
Yeah.
You stumped them, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to watch Bill. He's always
'Cause
got
there's
the
so
good
many
questions.
good-
No, that is a really good.
That's a really good one.
Maybe Halloween 2. I love the original
Ooh.
Halloween 2, or not Halloween 2. Sorry, Halloween 3 with the
How?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Shamrock.
Yeah.
Oh,
remake.
God.
Masks.
And
Shamrock.
Buzz is about to have a
Is there
freak
some
out.
kind of
Is
influence?
that, is that
Is there some kind of influence here?
I promise I didn't do that on purpose.
Go on. Are you going to scream it's a goddamn masterpiece at her like you did everybody else?
It's a goddamn masterpiece. I've been advocating for this movie for the last 2 years.
You have no idea.
Thank you.
It's got a great story.
Thank you.
It really
It
does.
re-
Yeah.
I don't disagree either.
I
I
want
love
more.
Halloween 3. I think it's great.
Getting
Yeah.
all worked up again.
Myself and the amount of arguments Buzz and I have had with people online where it's just like it doesn't have Michael Myers in it.
I'm like
Fucking
arguing with nobody because
so?
everybody's agreeing with
God
me.
damn
I'm
it,
like,
man! It's a good movie.
Waiting for someone to say something.
Aw.
Oh, thank you.
I guess I could say this one could easily be made into a horror movie because the graphic novel version of this was more horror oriented, and it's The Mask. I would love to do an adaptation of The Mask as it was originally written, with all the blood and guts and murder and mayhem and everything like that. Because they had a little bit of that in the first one, especially with the mechanics where he shoved like the tailpipes up their poop chutes and stuff like that. So, but I would love to do a rated R version of The Mask, just full on, just insanity.
That would be cool.
I'll
That's
be
a
honest,
great
I was
answer,
never
by the
thought
way.
about the Jim Carrey version, but your one does sound fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I remember, like, The Mask came out, and I remember seeing the graphic, but because I wasn't a fan of the Jim Carrey movie, I kind of didn't. I had the opportunity those times, and just for some reason, I just went, won't bother reading it. And admittedly, the cover art, and I've seen artwork from inside of it loads of times, and it does look bizarre and wacky.
It's bloody. It is
That was
so
one of the things-
bloody and
That was
violent
one of the
and
things that
crazy.
did get my attention. The fact that I was looking at some of the art, but for some reason I had it in my head at some of the stuff that I was seeing was more fan art maybe, and then it was only afterwards that I went back and went, no, that's actually what the comics actually like. Why can't they do that? Oh, well.
I know, and it could even it doesn't even have to be a movie. It could be a TV series because different characters take on the mantle of the mask,
that would be cool.
and it affects their personalities. There's all they're all totally different types of masks too. Because like Stanley goes into full like revenge, murderous rampage. His girlfriend takes the mask on. She kind of does similar things. She ends up killing him. And then eventually the Calloway, the police guy, he takes on the mask and he becomes more of a superhero character.
Well,
because it brings out your inner
I think one of the elements
desires
they missed
more.
from that movie completely was like in the Jim Carrey version, it's very much, I don't have the mask on, I'm normal. I have the mask on, I'm kind of zany. Where it was in the comic books, the mask like was literally driving people insane. You know what I mean? They were, they were going proper mental.
Okay, you walked all over with that answer. He's like, I fucking love the idea of the mask horror film. Take my money.
Yes, someone make it happen. I'll be your Stanley. I would love
and
to.
I can have our Halloween.
Lydia, what movie would you, if there was a movie you wanted to remake?
Oh, I've been racking my brain because so many horror movies that I love are such classics, like the original Psycho, and it's like you can't even you can't top Hitchcock. So
No,
there's
they
no-
tried and they failed miserably.
Right.
Yeah, so I was trying to.
Once again, that's hard to think of what
Yeah.
hasn't already been remade. 'cause there's
Exactly,
been
what
so
hasn't
many
already,
of them.
and then
Well, remake
what
or
came to
sequel.
mind- right? Or a sequel. An interesting idea that came to my mind is probably because I'm such a Disney and fairy tale nut, but a lot of the original fairy tales are super dark.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was
Yeah.
thinking about the original
Yeah.
Cinderella. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
stepsisters are cutting off
That's
bits
right.
of their.
They're called the
feet
Brothers
that
Grimm
they
for a
have to
reason,
fit
folks.
in the glass slipper.
Yep.
You have the stepsisters are cutting off their toes just to fit into the
Yeah.
glass slipper and things like that. So maybe
Then they get their eyes pecked out by birds.
yeah,
Deservedly so.
Maybe some of the original Grimm and Anderson's fairy tales.
No.
That would be cool.
And you're right. A lot of people
Yeah.
do forget how
that would
dark they really are.
I never
It was
forget.
So dark.
I was looking specifically for as old a version as I could, because even as it is now, anything that you dig up is like maybe the second or third censored version of it. It's damn near impossible to get the way that they were originally written, because they were just so fucking horrific I mean, they weren't.
Oh god! I mean, like Pinocchio, they kill off Jiminy Cricket. Like Pinocchio just smashes him with his foot.
Yeah.
Just. I'm
Stop
like, oh my
bothering.
god!
Yeah.
They really had to keep those out of the forest.
Myself and
So
Giz
they
actually
just
did
made them
Yeah,
myself and
we
Giz did
the
an
thing on
episode
Pinocchio
for
before.
the TV show in American Horrors that was literally just going full into how dark Pinocchio is compared to the Disney version.
God.
I mean, the original story, the end of it is Pinocchio hanging from a tree, but that was getting publicized practically weekly. So he was told, we can't end the story there. You have to continue it. You have to make more of it. You can't just.
Yeah. The
can't just be
author,
dangling
the
from a tree there,
author
lad.
openly hated kids with an intense and fiery passion, and hated the fact that he had to write for kids, and like essentially just wrote the end of the book as, and Pinocchio was a bold boy and hung himself. The end. And the kids were just like, Dad,
Sounds like a doll, you know?
what is
Yeah.
going on? You need to
It's like when
write
Optimus
him
Prime
off
died
that
for
tree
Transformers
quick.
86.
Yeah, you need to get him off that tree quick, son. Yep. More money, more books. Let's go. Get him off the tree. Get him on a boat. Get him in a whale. Get him anywhere. Just get him off that goddamn tree. Jesus.
Yeah.
It goes to the fact that, like, back in the day, a lot of these tales and a lot of these children's stories, the whole point of them was as a warning for kids: don't go walking out into the woods.
Yeah.
Don't go doing this. Don't go doing that, because you're gonna end up dead. And over time, as these things, the danger doesn't necessarily go away, but it lessens, and people are like, well, we can't be telling kids those kind of scary stories. Let's make them a little bit nicer, till eventually you get all Disneyfied. So if someone were to start remaking the stuff
If
the
an
way
old
they were
lady tries
originally
to give you
intended,
treats, she's a witch. That's
Yeah.
also another
Oh,
lesson.
dude, I'd totally be on board for that.
Years ago, here in New York, I did something with a Manhattan
Little
Children's
Mermaid's
Theater. We did a
disturbing.
production of The Little Mermaid. Yeah, that's what we did. We did Little Mermaid, and we did the actual Hans Christian
Sweet
Andersen
mother of the
version
divine
of it.
Christ.
And it was a two-person show, so I ended up the female narrator played the mermaid. I played everybody else on the show, and basically the kids were traumatized every time by the end of it, because we did the whole thing with her like having her tongue cut out. Her like every
Walking on
step she
glass.
took felt like she had knives being shoved up. Then like of course she dies and turns into sea foam with it, and we had to kind of just be all upbeat about it. And it was just like, yeah, this is because like the prince she didn't end up with the prince. He fell in love with another person.
That's
so she
amazing.
Just dies.
Just an entire theater full of little Macaulay Culkins just sitting there, just like,
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a reason people haven't really done a real Disney version of the poor little match girl or something like that.
yeah.
It's like some of those are just like daggers to the heart type of
It
stories.
was traumatizing.
the fucking
Yeah.
Hunchback of Notre,
Yeah.
the fucking Hunchback of Notre Dame. Jesus.
Oh
fuck.
my God!
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah.
What a different ending.
it was a
Billy
happy
brought up-
ending, right? No,
What a different.
not
Pill brought up
remotely.
Baba Yaga and Vasilisa the
Baba
Brave.
Yaga.
That she is not
Oh,
a
yeah.
kid's tale, dude.
No.
No, but if we're talking about like she was saying, like bringing some of these to like the adult horror, that would be awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
a lot of
great.
things that you like, we talk about how things are remade and sequelized and stuff like that, but like I would totally be on board for seeing this, because now we're not trying to make it cute. Now we're actually putting it. We have this genre called horror. You could just finally go, hey, this is as dark and violent as they were, and a lot of people would probably eat it up.
Make it into a series too, so you could really
Yeah.
like spend each episode
Like
on
Dark
different
Tales.
tales.
Totally. Yeah, you
something.
can totally make a series out of
Oh
it.
yeah.
There's been a couple attempts at doing
Yeah.
similar stuff, and I think basically, what's ended up happening is that the original idea is that we're going to go dark and we're going to go evil and blah blah blah, and then as soon as they get to work, the studios or whoever else turning around going, this is a very well-known story, you can't go that fucking dark, so let's tone it back. So as a result, because they had to dial it back, the films don't deliver what they wanted, and they end up falling short.
Like that Red Riding Hood one. Do you remember with oh God, the
Actually-
chick who could tell the weather with her tit from Mean Girls. Sorry, it's the only I can't remember her name ever,
Yeah,
but I'm such a big fan of Mean Girls.
Yeah.
It's
Oh crap.
Yeah.
But there is
Are you talking about like the Little Red Riding
Yeah,
Hood
yeah,
one
yeah.
that she was in? Yeah.
But there is
Yeah.
kind of a horror version of that was done in the 80s. It's not. I don't think it was called Wolves. It was something else. But there was a very.
Wolves was the one with Jason Momoa, wasn't it?
That's why I said
Yeah.
In the Company of Wolves. There we go. Haha. Got it.
Mm.
Adam
There's a
or Amanda.
what?
Amanda. Seyfried.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, there you go. Cool.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
I was
didn't know
wondering
where
what you were doing
going
there
with
for a minute. You were just repeating the word Amanda for a moment.
Yeah, no, I was trying to figure out like
that. Tourette's
I was
or
like,
is something
man,
on in these
do a
brain
roll
again?
call
I
or
hate
something like
pronouncing
that.
names, but
Amanda?
here we go.
Yeah.
Carter
But,
C.:/ has failed.
It's another Elon Musk child.
Yeah.
But I think in the Company of Wolves, if I remember correctly, there was a very original Grimm-like version of the Red Riding Hood story. And one of the things about that one was that it was done with practical effects and things. But like I said, to see if they would be able to do it now with some of the technology that's there and some of the scenes from that particular one, like the cutting open of the wolf to try and get the granny and Red Riding Hood out at the end, the fact that there's actually a second wolf that comes back that they do in with like fucking boiling water and stuff, and and there's so many ways that they can make all these stories dark, and if nothing else, just to have like Disney and everyone else have a conniption, because as we recently found out, there was apparently a document that stated that from Walt Disney saying that he never wanted any of his stuff to be remade or sequelized because he poured so much of his heart and soul into them. So, to have someone
That's
go along and do the darker
Wouldn't
versions.
the original fairy tales be so old that you wouldn't have to worry about like Disney copyright, whatever?
You'd fucking think so. But don't forget, they tried to go the world at this stage.
Yeah.
So.
Right? You just call it by a different name, I guess, or
I don't know. That's what I like about the whole indie scene of films and stuff. Like Hollywood has done. I feel like they've done everything they can. Now we're remaking Nightmare on Elm Street for the 100th time, what have you. Like they're content playing it safe.
Well, I don't think it's so much
the indie market.
Yeah, I don't think
now where what.
I don't think it's so much they've done everything they can. I think it's got to a stage that it's like if they can't instantaneously potentially see money in it, they don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of what I mean by like play it safe. They would rather do like another Batman film than like take the chance of doing some unknown hero. Like they want to make sure that they're going to make that money.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're seeing a lot of independent artists come out and go, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this. They don't have Hollywood millions, but
that's one of the.
But they still get that market.
It's wonderful having that
they
freedom.
still get that market, and then you turn around and you look at the fan base, and they realize, like, holy crap, they're doing what I've always hoped Hollywood would do, and I think that's kind of what really helped.
That's
all of that independence now raise up to the level that they're at.
Oh, so I mean, like we encountered that while we were making Terrifier 2. It's just like, God, we don't have a studio over us, so we can do whatever we want. It's very freeing in that way. We don't have to worry about, are we going too far? It's like, what the hell,
The line's more of a theory anyway.
Right. We've seen what happens when we've got too many cooks in the kitchen. One idea gets folded, changed, and turned around, and now it's no longer what it was at the very beginning. Whereas like an independent individual's like, look, this is what I was aiming for. And at the end of the finish line, this is what I hoped for. And I mean, like, you have to give and take. You don't have the money to do this, or you don't have the ability necessarily to film it this way or that way, but you still keep it your vision. And you just kind of adapt it as you
sometimes
go.
But sometimes that lends itself to some like really creative solutions to things that you don't have enough money, to do that effect that way. You find another way, and it ends up even being better.
Oh yeah, like you get better camera angles that leaves that to say the watcher's imagination or what have you. Like it definitely creates more in the long run.
I think we gotta have to jump into an old sponsor break really quick here for 60 seconds. So we'll be back after a quick sponsor ad, and we'll chat a little bit more with the guys in the Dark Offerings, and we'll be back with some more weird rules from around the world that don't really make sense, which is why they're technically no one abides by them anymore. We'll see you in a second. Bye.
Stop.
who want to be cast
Okay,
who's
I don't
assaulting
know.
at the moment.
The trailer isn't playing there for a moment.
Man, I think we're in for a good night tonight. The EMS already going off.
Dude, I'm getting sick of you bringing me out to these creepy midnight excursions to haunted mansions and shit. I was in the comfort of my own office.
Following is a paid-for promotion by Big Brian Brothwad's Pro Wrestling School and Movie Advertising Agency.
Ooh, yeah. Are you sick of your movie trailers been over 30 seconds long and taking way too much story to say? Ooh, have you ever thought having a big buff burly dude doing a general synopsis of my movie might be better than having a 3-minute promo? Ooh, yeah. You're at Big Brian Buffwad's Pro Wrestling School and Movie Advertising Agency. We've got the snappiest way for your promos to be delivered with a big buff dude, giving a general synopsis instead of ruining the entire plot of your movie. Ooh, with a special elite selected group of pro wrestlers and pro editors who know how to stitch your movie together with some of the beefiest boys you've ever seen. Ooh, yeah. You want your trailer cut down to meat and bones? Then get it edited by some big meaty bros at Big Brian Bruffwad Pro Wrestling School and Movie Advertising Agency, or I'll hunt you down and eat your family. Call 1-800 Big Buff Boys.
Disclaimer. Big Brian Buffwad employs both male and female video editors and technicians. This in no way discriminates against female employees or male employees, despite his general mannerisms.
Not necessarily a totally
And we're back.
good guy.
There we go. That's from our new sponsor, Big Brian Buffwad. He's on American Horrors if you need to check out more Big Brian Buffwad. So check out Big Brian Buffwad on American Horrors.
I like his hat.
Or .net,
I like
sorry.
his hat.
It's a very nice hat.
Mm.
I heard a small Irishman gave it to him back in the day of yore.
Yep.
Yeah.
The leprechaun.
Gave
yeah.
were just long-term borrowed.
Yeah, that wasn't staged, kids. That was the genuine. That just happened.
I know.
You big old Lepretian, you.
Oh, go frack yourself.
So I know when Elizabeth was on the first time, I asked her. So I wanted to see what you guys said was. What were some of like the biggest difficulties that you guys had when you were like shooting the movie because of how different it was shooting this film because of the restrictions and stuff?
I kind of feel like we addressed some of that earlier, like with not being in the same room, the makeup. It's like, especially with Elizabeth having to come back and forth and doing my makeup. So those are more the difficulties I had. I was also concerned because when we were filming, there were people in the apartment above us, and I was like, oh God, I hope I'm really not freaking them out with my screaming all the time. I'm like, I'm sorry.
I'm like that with my housemates all the time. It's because when we're doing these shows, it's 12 o'clock in Ireland, so it's like 10 to 1 now. So half the time it's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm fucking yelling my head off, and I'm just like, oh, they're going to be banging on the door any minute.
That actually happened to me shooting a music video. There was this girl getting killed in the music video, and we hadn't like gotten any site permission or anything. It was just like a student thing for a band. But she did such a good job, and your man did such a good job, and there was so much blood that someone had walked by and just went, "What the fuck?" and just rang the cops. So like there's like a cop car arriving up and like looking at the scene and everything. That was genuinely a bunch of cops coming out. That thankfully the second camera guy just kept recording on the sly. But you have to worry about the neighbors sometimes because they can just.
Yeah. I'm pretty much used to almost getting shot on almost every set I'm on now. It's just both Terrifier films. I've had cops called on us for people just spotting me covered in blood, and then when we were filming Stream, the hotel we were staying at was not telling their guests that were staying there, the few guests that were actually there, that we were filming a horror film.
I feel like that's really.
And
important.
I'm like, it's even worse because I'm like doing the same shtick over and over again. I'm just stalking down a hallway looking for my victim, and I'm covered in blood and everything like that. And when they cut at one point, and all of a sudden you just hear this woman come out of the room. Whatever you're doing is very effective. We are Second Amendmenters, and you almost got shot. And then she shows us what she was taping. She was taping it through her peephole, and you just see me walking by repeatedly.
Did you ask her for the footage?
Doing my angry
so you could use it in the film?
I think they did, yeah, for
No,
behind
I
the
used it
scenes
in the
stuff.
film.
But I'm like, when you see what she was seeing, it was freaky. I'm like, yeah, I would have kind of been freaked out too if I didn't know they were filming a movie.
The problem if you're dressed like Art the Clown, if the cops get called to a scene, is you're probably not going to get a lot of explanation time as to what's going on. Because I know if I was a cop and I showed up, I'd be like, fuck that, I'm shooting that guy.
Oh no, it's like that's why I'm glad both times, I had the production team there to do interference because that could have gone badly. Especially one time I was practically naked when they showed up too.
Taste first and talk later, John. Yeah, Bob, taste first and talk later.
Yeah, Damien's like, hey, Dave, go mess with the cops. I'm like, no. No. And the cop's like, yeah, we heard there was this clown that was like covered in blood walking in here a little while ago. I'm like, hi. It was me. And they're like, oh, yes, we see why we're called.
Yeah.
Oh, that's got to be a little.
So during this, I was kind of afraid that was going to happen too. I was like, yeah, I'm screaming and yelling and and I'm like, oh god, the cops are going to get called. I just know it.
Thankfully, no cops were called for this film.
That's the sad thing. Like I knew it was all soon, but I didn't even think about neighbors. Like that would be like, hey, so I have to scream bloody murder. When's a good time for you? 3? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
3. Cool.
12:30 in the morning. Great.
Just clarify.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I won't be home. Cool. 3 it is. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the guy, the Irish lad that you had on set, was he was in Ireland?
No, he was at the time he was in New York.
Oh, okay, because I was going to go, if he was shooting with you guys, then that would have been even worse for the time difference that'd be going on, because it'd be like 4 a.m. and he'd be like,
Well, we did have a couple of people that were in California, so it was a little tricky because the people in New York, we had to shoot a lot of it at night, even though we're in our apartments because of the lighting. It was a dead giveaway.
Oh, yeah,
so a lot of us had to, for the days that we had people from California, we had to be up that much later just to,
because they're 3 hours behind you, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think one night we started at like 9:10, so they could catch up with us lighting wise. So all of us were in the dark in terms of
Yeah.
So so especially the screaming. I'm very thankful that no cops were called for this one. Yeah.
I suppose it was probably one of the benefits of the movie happening during lockdown and all of the crazy shit that was going on in America was that it's probably
that
hearing
too.
some people screaming is just kind of part of my day now for the moment.
Yeah. Especially here in New York.
I mean, it was a regular thing. Like a lot of times I was worried that the speakers would pick up the ambulances that were constantly going by, because I live right by a hospital.
Oh.
So ambulances go down the street right next to me all the time. So that was a big concern. I'm like, did you guys hear the ambulance? No? Oh, okay. Good.
No, I know what you mean, because when I got to do filming, I live right next to a fire department. And so it's like,
oh, no.
I film at night because everybody's out mowing during the day, and then I just have to kind of like, please no emergency, try to do my lines really quick. Okay, that's a fire truck. We're going to redo that. Like, there's just some things you can't avoid. You just wind up having to redo.
Johnny be like, Carter, where's my footage? You're like, I can't wait till night, man. Just 80,000 things going on outside.
Yeah. And it always happens during like one of your best takes too. You're like, that was really good.
No,
It's like they wait for it.
I was like, I nailed it. Woo, woo, woo.
Didn't we have a guy going up and down on a motorbike? The young fellas on the little fucking
Scooters?
motocross bikes while we were trying to film one day.
We don't have
literally-
emergency services as a problem here. We just have asshole teenagers
with like ridiculously loud fucking exhaust. So we were just in the middle of doing stuff, and we were just gotten. It's like yes, and just and it's really loud, obnoxious thing. Just
They were like the dirt bike scramblers, and it was like they had gone on. It was like they'd gone on to the exhaust pipes of them, and we're just like, how can I make this the loudest it can be?
Oh yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons I didn't really want to film my bit over in my apartment, because where I live here in Queens, it's one of the busiest streets in Queens, and it was that time of the year during summer where all the people are out there on their motorcycles. I mean, there's video footage of one night where a huge party, even it's the height of COVID, a party erupted on my street, and it's like cars couldn't even go down the street, but you had all these guys on their motorcycles just sitting out there for hours. Just, It was just like it'd be 5 o'clock in the morning. You're still hearing. I was like,
yeah, Queen's got in trouble.
Where's the chick with her Second Amendment rights now? That's when you need that lady. Like, Doris, can you get over here? I need you to give a stern talking to some people.
Roof and just start taking pot shots.
Scenes to film, lady.
So we got a question from the chat. It says, what locations, famous or not, would you like to film in / at for future projects?
Famous location.
Bill, I'm actually just going to get you to write questions for the interviews from now on.
Dude, because he's killing it tonight.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of historical sites.
Really?
The pyramids.
Yeah.
Pyramids especially.
So not Zoom. That's probably not Zoom.
She can still Zoom in a pyramid.
Yeah, why not?
We're in an amphitheater
Can
right
you
now.
use Zoom in a pyramid, Carter?
Not in, but like she could be standing outside and be like, "Look,
Depends where you are.
Hey, y'all." Like she could still be like taking us like around the world as she travels, kind of vibe.
Yeah, I could get killed outside a pyramid.
See?
Yeah.
So the Dark Office could go to pyramids.
That is a hyper aggressive mummy that kills you outside of a pyramid. That is, he's not even waiting for you to go in and set off some traps or anything. It's just like, you're not even getting in the door.
I'm coming out to you to get to this.
Emotep.
See, I was just thinking that, she was speaking real life, and the Historical Society had gotten a little bit too touchy about people getting too close to the pyramids and filming around them. But yeah, mummy probably a little bit more.
I like to stick on the side of realism when I can.
Right. I'm trying to sleep in here, and you kids are out here in my lawn, kind of vibe.
The sequel to Bubba Hotep.
Right, exactly.
Get off my sand!
Never mind.
And the twist would be that it was actually a camel that murdered.
It was Hump Day.
There you go.
Humperdinck.
Anyone else have a location of choice for filming?
I think it'd be neat to maybe in Savannah, Georgia, just the haunting beauty of that area. It'd be really cool. Yeah.
You just, the only thing you would hate is they have so many like biting gnats and stuff like that in that area. It's just it's annoying. So you'd want to do it more in the winter.
Yeah. You just film it.
Yeah.
No, you're right though. They do have some beautiful areas around there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can film a Hallmark Christmas movie.
For New
All right.
Like Christmas.
Hey,
Southern Christmas.
Hey man, if Bruce Campbell can do a Hallmark movie,
I mean,
anyone can.
Yeah. I was asked to do one last year, and I was like, no.
I'm going to give it another couple of years.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like you say the Hallmark to like later on in life, kind of like.
Because if I'm correct,
I'm old enough to do a Hallmark. I'm good.
It was like 5 lines too. It was like just a character that really did not matter. He was just there for background filling. It's just like, hey, I'm one of the actors in the show. Hi, Dave. I was like, you don't even need this character.
He's literally just the walk-by neighbor kind of guy.
Yeah, basically. I was like, it was a movie about a Christmas, one of those Christmas movies about a town that was doing a version of the Christmas Carol, and the hot shot comes back from town, into town because it tried to save.
Hang on a minute. Is that the Bruce Campbell movie?
And he finds love.
No, that was.
Oh no, that would be.
God damn you,
funny.
Hallmark! They're all the same. That sounded remarkably
that
like the Bruce Campbell movie.
Together kind of vibe.
What about?
Yeah.
Oh boy, it was sad. I was like, like,
look,
you want me
from
to
what
be
I
in
understand of their
this?
contractual process, they own your soul after you sign up for that kind of thing. You're better off without it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
They've
yeah,
got competition.
yeah,
now.
like,
a lot of their cast is jumping to whatever the new channel is.
Yeah, a lot of our Terrifier castmates from both films have been in some of those movies. It's just like, oh boy.
What about a Hallmark Christmas movie about an elf who works tirelessly in Santa's workshop, making toys for all the good little boys and girls, underappreciated, practically slave-driven, Until eventually he goes postal. What?
It's April.
Dude, you had to interrupt. I was really getting into that. I'm like, wait, what?
I know.
I'm also just I'm erring on the side of the caution. I was waiting for the lights to start to dim behind him and his face to slowly go from Smurf to slightly redder Smurf.
It's the true story of the elf from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that
Right.
wanted to be a dentist.
And I was on board. I'm like, oh, this is about to get bad.
Just gets
dark. It was.
Am I wrong? I wasn't wrong, was I?
want to be
No.
I want to be a dentist. I'm not going to starts yanking
The
out
next
everybody's
words
teeth.
out of my mouth were he was going to go a little bit postal.
I can see it.
Anywho,
Wasn't that a Christmas story? I know the elves were zombies, but
I was thinking more of a singular elf just going on a homicidal killing spree through Santa's workshop, maybe hitching a ride in the back of Santa's sleigh and secretly slaughtering all the good little boys and girls because
I think if you're going to go, I think if you're going to
you
go on
almost
that,
had him stop, but then you had to keep going.
yeah, I know. I'm
So,
like
wait,
my own
listen-
worst enemy, and I can't help
Yeah.
it.
And I appreciate it because I
Back on
really
track.
wanted to hear more.
I feel
so,
if you,
yeah.
I feel if you were going to go that angle, I think you'd be better off where it turns out that Santa, like, it's more of a vengeance story than an actual.
Oh,
Straight
there was
up.
going to be a twist. No, there was going to be a twist at the end. You see, overall, the reason that he did go postal, what we realize at the end is that behind the scenes, Mrs. Claus secretly wanted to get rid of Santa the whole fucking time, and she's been goading this guy. So part of his killing spree is that he actually does do in Santa. Buzz, get your hand out. I think I may have killed Buzz.
So sorry.
Oh.
Just to clarify,
Sadly, now
your
I'm
your
disappointed.
Hallmark Christmas story is about an elf
Oh.
that goes postal because he's been getting bunny boiled by Mrs. Claus
Right. Like,
into killing Santa. Is that what I'm
Bunny
getting?
That's
at?
what the Hallmark stuff's about, isn't it? Those like psychological drama things.
You need to shut the fuck up and never talk again.
It's
Is
a
what you need
family
to
like
picture.
you've been watching the wrong Hallmark, dude. They're more like, hey, little elf, are you having a bad day? Let's talk about
Also,
it.
that's
and get
more of a
better."
Lifetime
Right.
Lifetime movie.
Sorry. Sorry, my
Yeah.
mistake. Yeah, Lifetime, Hallmark made the mix up.
Yeah. Hallmark is all about you just watch it and you basically leave it
Yeah.
with diabetes by the
Exactly.
end.
Right.
I heard that the director is just a large candy cane.
Everybody
With
is
a film
in
degree.
love.
Okay.
Oh, we got.
I'm gonna
Noel
try to
and
get
Underwood.
this back on some.
Everybody's
Buzz, do you have
Everybody's
questions? Do a question.
I'm trying to get to him, but then
Yeah.
Giz went with this very, very scary place that I'm
Not
afraid to
scary
hear
enough,
anymore
really.
about.
I feel partially responsible myself there, and I will
Partially
reprimand
let
myself
down.
after the show.
Okay. Anywho, so this is for everybody, not for you four, but the three, the guests.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to probably chime in.
So with the stuff going on with the pandemic, or back in the pandemic, do you like? I guess this could be for everybody, whatever. But anyway, do you guys see that? Like, do you see a change in the way movies are done now? Like, because with you guys using Zoom and stuff like that, and like how movies could be made in the future, distributed in the future with all like the streaming services, with you guys being like on Amazon Prime and all the different places like that are now available. Like, do you see? I want to say a resurgence, obviously, but like, do you see maybe possibly more movies, more independent movies, stuff like that possibly could be made because of the advances of technology?
Oh yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
I definitely
I
think.
see it.
I
'cause-
definitely see this
yeah.
as being its own genre now, kind of like when we saw the handheld.
He said we're not allowed to answer the questions, Carter. It's for the three guests.
My bad. I'm sorry, Buzz.
He stated it at the start of the question.
I see.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's... you go ahead. You go. Ladies first.
I see a lot more creativity. Even with the union films, I'm seeing a lot more creative minds coming forward. And especially with the pandemic, everybody had to figure out a way to shoot. So it was a lot of figuring it out, non-union and union films. So I see a lot of, especially indie films coming forward and just doing whatever needs to be done to actually, make a film safely, of course, but just the creative juices are flowing, because when you go through any type of kind of horrible situation, like the creative minds just kind of have to be creative to get everything emotionally out of them, especially for film. So I see a lot more creativity with non-union films, like especially indie horror and everything. I'm seeing a lot more lower budget films come out, especially. But David, you go.
Yeah, I think there's a change happening right now too with the streaming services, because there's that long period of time where people weren't going to the theaters anymore. So a lot of things are now being released on streaming platforms instead. And because of it, I think we're now starting to see a big resurgence of more independent films coming out now and finally getting recognition. And there's even something I saw, just something with the Northman that just came out. They don't think it's going to even be able to make past its budget, because less people are going to the theaters right now. More people are streaming things right now, which is because I think they made it for like $90 million, which is big for more of one of those art house independent type of films, which is unfortunate, because I think it made just about 14 million maybe this weekend or something like that. So it's like, geez, so they're not forecasting for that to happen. So it's one of those things where this whole idea of more all these different streaming platforms is kind of a good thing for a lot of us independent filmmakers in a way, because that was the whole thing back in the day. It was like you had to be released in theaters or you just weren't seen and you didn't get profit, all that. And it's really starting to change, and I think a lot of that is due to the pandemic. I mean, I know that's one of the things we're exploring right now, literally while I'm speaking about, with Terrifier 2, is like we're in the whole process of, trying to find distribution and everything like that. And we're looking at that whole idea of just going pure streaming instead of trying to get into theaters. Or if we do theaters, we might just do a limited run or something like that. And it's not one of those things like, well, if we just did it, released on, streaming or discs, it doesn't mean that we wouldn't be making a profit or anything, and we wouldn't be seen by people. It's like, actually, no, we can still be seen by a lot of people. And we actually might be seen by more people this way, because there's an ease of access to the content that way, instead of actually having to pile into a car and pay, $20 a pop for each person to go see a movie in the theater. So it's I think in a weird way, it's been a boon for independent filmmakers.
Yeah, I don't think this film would have been able to get out there if it wasn't for streaming services. I mean, I was planning originally just to put it up on YouTube so people can actually watch it during the pandemic, and then it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and people started finding out about it. And it's like, oh, okay, let's go bigger. let's keep going with this. So then it ended up on Amazon Prime.
Because it was essentially, if my research has me correct, it was essentially a short that ended up just fleshing its whole way up to a feature-length movie, was it?
So it wasn't a short originally. Basically how it went is after I got better from COVID, I really wanted to do something. I hadn't gotten to do all the things, bucket list wise. I hadn't started doing the things I wanted to do in my life, and that was acting and making movies. So Marcus and I were under the same roof, and we were discussing how to film something, and he wanted to do something with demons, and said, why don't we shoot a short film? Nobody's outside right now, we could just shoot a short film with the camera. I said, no, let's go bigger. Let's do a full feature of a demon movie. We'll get all of our friends in it, and it'll be amazing. Let's do it. So that's how it came to be. It, like, when we started writing it, it was already set to be a feature. We just bullet pointed everything out, and we're like, okay, what's this about? Who are the people in it? And it became what it is today, and I couldn't be prouder of everybody in it.
You should be, because it is a fantastic. And if anyone hasn't checked it out yet, you should go to Amazon. And if you're in Ireland, I think you need to purchase it. I don't think you can just watch it on Amazon. But if you're in America, go check it out on Amazon, because it is a tasty little movie that is well worth a watch. Yes, exactly, David. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
I can imagine that's something that you guys probably were like, oh my God, something to do. Because like at that time, there was nothing. And I'm sure you guys were just like, yes, yes, yes. Yeah. And then, I mean, it was something awesome to do on top of it. So I made it even better.
Oh my God! I mean, it was like I was getting so just cabin, fever. Just I need to do something. I'm tired of just sitting here every single day and playing PlayStation.
Right, I was
and
gonna say,
then
like
eating
Liz
and
was
going to bed.
saying, like we've been in it for so long. Like, dude, I was starting to get bored. I was Netflix and chilled out.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, okay, I don't really feel like gaming today. Like, oh God, what am I gonna do? So
No more texting.
right,
Not
like,
everyone's built for
I had-
isolation.
Yeah.
I had Twittered as much as I could. I had gamed as much as I could, and I'm like, oh God, what am I
Well, I
gonna
mean,
do?
like during the lockdown as well, Twitter became like a fucking powder keg. Do you know what I mean? So I ended up just not being on it. It was literally just go tweet out when we were doing the podcasts. I won't lie to you, it was like the American Horror Show and the podcast genuinely saved our sanity, I think, during the lockdowns, because we were filming. Thankfully, we just kept going, because we were all filming in isolation from the get-go.
Right.
Anyway,
like it wasn't new.
The way myself
But
and
then,
Johnny
like,
live, we're pretty much isolated all the time anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah. Giz was able to come over to my house because we live within the actual like kind of safety distance that they were saying people could go visit other people in and stuff. But it was like I think it's good to have a project when something crazy like that's going on.
Yeah.
No, that definitely helped when GoreCast was like, hey, we're gonna start doing more. Oh, thank God, I don't think I can do any more Assassin's Creed. I never thought I'd say this before.
And then
like,
more became, all right, we're going to do it 7 days a week. We were like,
that's a bad idea.
We got a question in from Bill, again.
Shocking.
Saying each person, which TV film, I would assume he means each people from the movie, everyone from the GoreCast, just to let you know.
okay, don't answer, Carter. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you for clarifying.
Which TV or film genre would you most prefer when mixed with a horror? Example, horror, sci-fi.
What's the question?
If you were to have horror mixed with another genre, what would your be preferred?
Horror, fantasy, horror, sci-fi.
I've always thought horror comedy.
Oh
very
yes,
well together.
I love horror comedy.
Yeah. I just like Tucker.
Dude,
Dale,
that movie is an honest to God piece of genius. I love that. It subverts all the expectations that you think you're going to get going into the movie, because initially you're kind of like, okay, I'm going in as crazy hillbillies murdering a bunch of teenagers. Then it's like, no, it's crazy teenagers murdering a bunch of teenagers trying to run away from what can only be described as two of the friendliest hillbillies you're ever going to meet in your entire life.
Right.
Oh God, it's so.
And
good.
I'm a major Firefly nerd, and it was just so nice to see your man from Firefly in it. Captain Steve.
Yeah. Oh,
He's
Alan Tudyk is he's such an underappreciated
He does
actor.
great
Project
voice
Con Man.
work as well.
I loved that one.
I think he's currently starring in it was a comic. He's an alien.
Oh shit.
Citizen Alien?
Oh. Yes, Resident Alien.
That's it,
Dude,
Resident Alien.
First season was awesome.
Cool.
I haven't seen the second season yet.
I need to check that out.
And he just kills it.
Yeah, I've always thought horror and comedy just go really well together, because I feel like it takes an audience on a better ride, because if it's just all just morose, dark, just violent stuff, you're just oh God, you can't almost get even desensitized to things after a while. But like when you have those moments of levity, it just kind of brings you out of it, and you can but it also sets you up again for a good shock or something like that. I'm like. And that's why I think films like the Child's Play movies and the Nightmare on Elm Street movies especially worked so well back in the day.
Distract
they had
and
that
draw you in better.
Well,
Yeah, I mean that's why I love the movie The Babysitter so much. It had that great, comedy and horror, and it was God, I love that movie so much. I just thought it was brilliant.
It's funny how like the dumbest lines make the whole thing just so much better. Like
Yeah.
you had Emil shirtless for the whole film, and the kid's like, "Why are you shirtless? That's your question right now?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God, that's brilliant!" Like it was just like that line.
Yeah.
So like comedy really does just kind of change the scope of it.
Yeah. Night of the Creep.
Oh.
A good one.
Yeah.
Frankenhooker.
Killer Clown.
Frankenhooker's
so it's like
comedy
I wanna
horror.
do more
Have you
of that
not
kind
seen
of stuff, so I'm
Frankenhooker?
just like, yes.
Frankenhooker's
Oh,
amazing.
yes.
It's comedy horror perfection, and it's got that whole kind of Lovecraftian. There's a bit
I'm
of like
afraid to say I
Reanimator
haven't
vibe
seen
to it
it,
as well.
'cause then they'll make me watch it for the show, so I'm gonna get my.
God, but you have to watch
But
it.
then something else took it to a. There's something else that took it to a different level, which I appreciated too, was horror comedy musical theater, and that was Little Shop
Yeah.
of Horrors, which I was like,
Little
this
Shop of Horrors.
fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
Have you seen Repo, the Genetic Opera?
Oh, dude, that's
That's
brilliant.
another good one.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff in that. Like,
And the
Paris
actual
Hilton just having
music,
her face fly
and the
off.
actual music in the opera is also freaking amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
because Patrick Stewart Head can sing like a mad bastard, and he's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I'm putting it on my list.
Right, I think we're going to hit the trailer for the Dark Offering, so anyone who hasn't seen it can check it
Stupid
out,
brain.
and then we're going to come back and we're going to say goodbye, and we're going to do some of the weird and crazy laws from around the world. See you in a moment.
You got any birthday plans?
I'm meeting up with some friends I haven't seen in a long time.
Good.
To Sophia, right? The loveliest woman that I've ever met, and someone who hasn't aged a day since high school.
His ass!
It's not gonna stop. It's gonna keep coming. And then, once it gets me, it's coming after you.
Yo, wait, did she just text me my own name?
Yep, did the exact same for me too.
This can't be happening. This can't be happening.
You have no choice, Sophia. You have to do this.
Man, where you been?
Is his mic on?
Yo, Jacob, can you hear me?
There is no escape.
Fortunately, if the demon has already attached itself to its offerings, there's really not much more we can do at this point.
You have got to do it now or we all die!
These people are not your friends.
Stay with each other.
You are in grave danger.
You could have picked 5 convicts that deserve to die. Do not pretend to be innocent.
We can't help us anymore.
What the hell is happening?
And that was the trailer for the Dark Offerings. If you haven't seen it, go Amazon, buy it, rent it, watch it. Share it with your friends. If your mum happens to like a horror movie, tell your mother, watch this. It's a bloody good horror movie.
If she doesn't, still do.
Yeah. If you've got a little niece or nephew,
Right,
show them
just
the
make
movie.
her watch
Traumatize the shit out of them. They're never going to go online again. It'll be great.
I like my
Yeah,
legs
right.
working, so
Pass
no.
it on to the parents.
Yeah, you don't. Your niece will bite your kneecaps off.
It's not my niece I'm worried about.
Is the owner of the niece?
Yes.
Yes.
The owner
My
of
sister
the
will take
niece.
my kneecaps.
I'd like to see that.
Anyway,
No.
as is customary on the GoreCast, we have had Buzz source around the world to find us some of the weirdest and strangest laws that have ever been seen in the magical world of law.
Reality.
Yeah,
It's
that makes sense. Okay, so how many did you give me today? Just so I have an old...
6.
6. Okay. So, in Pennsylvania, it is illegal to sleep on top of a refrigerator outdoors.
I'd be arrested.
I just don't. get it,
Things
right?
happen at bike rallies.
Again, this actually happened to set this into
Right.
law.
Yeah.
Right.
Giz,
Yeah.
it's probably Giz. Were you in Pennsylvania when this...
Yes, just say
No. To be fair, in my defense, I've never been to America, which is why I'm still alive, because I feel if I went to America, I wouldn't get out alive.
Oh, no, dude. We're friendly. You're good.
It's not you I'm worried about. It's your
No,
law
it's not him.
enforcement. They're
He'll-
very trigger happy.
Yeah,
I
he'll...
said we. are friendly, you're good.
He'll walk off a mountain
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
He'll park his bike at the edge of the wrong motorway. He'll take a wrong left and go into a truck. Or what's most likely is he'll forget that he's supposed to drive on the other side of the road and get railed by a tick.
I'll give you the last one. I will definitely give you the last one.
But yeah, no, I woke up on a refrigerator at a bike rally one time.
You are a magical human being, Gizzles. Do you know that?
I hope you still had your
I
pants.
did. I did.
He was part of the bike rally. It wasn't like I
That's
woke
good.
up accosted by a bunch of bikers on a fridge.
I think it was
Just to
more a case
clarify.
of, I think it was more a case of Giz passed out. Let's just put him somewhere
They
where
call
he's
that
Giz passed
position
out.
the
Let's put him
refrigerator
somewhere
magnet.
safe. Where's safe? The fridge. No one is going to go near the fridge full of beer
At least it
at a
was
bike
on
rally.
and not in the fridge.
All right, Tristan,
I
thanks
think
for hanging with us.
Oh, see you later, Katie.
See you later, Katie.
I
Thanks
think
for joining.
The fridge was probably empty. It was outdoors because it was like there was a plug running inside, so I nearly tripped over it.
Right. Okay. Anyway, in Marshalltown, Iowa, horses are forbidden to eat fire hydrants.
See, again, like, I just don't see how that could be an issue. Like, it's metal.
That is, I want to meet that horse that made that law happen.
That is a horse of the apocalypse right there.
That
I want
horse
it
has
for
got a set
pet.
of choppers on it, I'd say, that are on par.
Well, next GoreCast trip is to Idaho. you said?
Marshalltown, Iowa.
We're going to be going to find out why that happened.
Yeah. What year is this horse from? I feel there's a very high possibility he might be dead. Wouldn't mind going to Iowa, though.
Jaws.
But
So-
if one could do it, it bred a couple of others, I'm probably sure, dude.
Yeah, and may we not get within biting distance of any of them. In Rhode Island, no one may bite off another person's leg.
I thought that was going to go somewhere way darker.
Of course you
I
did.
feel like biting off somebody's leg is pretty dark. I
Yeah,
don't know.
biting off someone's leg's pretty dark. Like, that's not happening in one chomp.
Right.
You're going to have to work at
Yeah,
that.
that takes some time and dedication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a weekend at least.
Elizabeth, next movie you direct, you could have a guy bite a guy's leg off, and when he's finished eating it, he'd be like, thank God I'm not in Rhode Island.
Oh, that
That's
would be
Providence.
illegal there.
In Fort Thomas, Kentucky, dogs may not molest cars. Well, best of luck with that, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Best of luck with that, lads. I feel you're just
Leg
trying to
molested, so-
subvert Mother Nature there, and it's not going to happen.
Basically.
Dogs like humping cars. It's the way it is. I don't know why.
Oh my god.
Is that just my dog?
God.
And
Oh no, my cousin had the horniest Dalmatian in the world, and that it was just like, good God. One time it accidentally went woohoo on one of my cousins, and I was like, oh no.
We have
Oh,
an explanation
no.
for the fire hydrants.
Okay,
That was-
go Bill. The reason
Apparently,
was back in the day.
Yeah, go on.
Go ahead.
I was going to say pre-World War II, apparently because metal was being saved for tanks, a lot of the outside casings were made of wood for the fire hydrants.
That makes so much more sense now.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense now.
That does
That
make
kind of
more
just took
sense.
the humor out of
It's
that
not
last
funny
bit.
anymore. Yeah, I was
I
going to say.
rather liked imagining a horse of the apocalypse.
Delete his
Just,
combat.
Yeah,
Make it not
I
happen
really
anymore.
liked just some iron chomping pony
Yeah.
of death
I'm sad.
in my head. Yeah, I'm kind of like,
But
Now, are they okay with?
I mean, I could probably
I
chew my
don't-
way through a plank of wood if I was pushed.
right, but now I just see a bunch of horses like taking out fire hydrants, and people like, "Fuck again."
Yeah.
Like,
Anyway.
so there's still some humor there.
The horse fire hydrant
In Baltimore.
like whatever, catastrophe.
In
of
Baltimore, by the way,
06.
can I say I really appreciate how you color coded all of these, Buzz.
I didn't do it. You can thank Google.
I assumed you hadn't done it. I was just trying to give you a little
That's
bit of
true.
kudos there, and you could have let it slide, but you wouldn't let it slide. So, okay, I'm just going to retract my statement. In Baltimore, Maryland, it's illegal to take a lion to the movies.
Just a lion, though.
Yeah.
Don't take other people.
A lion?
A lion.
as in,
Lion.
As in
large.
Rawr,
predator.
large
Lion.
king of the
Okay.
jungle.
I
I
feel.
want to meet the dude that.
Now, what about the premiere of the
I want to
Lion
meet the
King?
dude that did. Like,
I
she
feel
was
was a
like,
circus
"Oh,
owner,
what?"
perhaps.
Right. She wanted to
Or
see
a
the movie.
zoo
I
That's
think
character.
like
Lion.
celebrity.
We reviewed Tiger King.
Oh, but, or like MGM, they had the
Yeah, the
MGM,
MGM
Lion.
lion.
I mean,
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
It was like a celebrity stunt.
That shit did not
Or-
work for Siegfried
Yeah.
and Roy.
That's it. That was a tiger.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why it didn't
That's
work
too
for
soon.
him then. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. He didn't consult. What's his name? Tiger King guy. I fucking forgot his name.
He also would have had no bearing on this conversation. They're tigers.
Are we good?
That bitch Carol Baskins.
Carlos having cat problems.
Next. Is this the last one?
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't. Ooh, okay. Well, everyone can see my Facebook now. There's one left. Okay. No, it's not. Thankfully.
It's not Giz's computer.
He's looking up horse stuff with fire.
The only thing like that'll pop up is my OnlyFans user profile.
Then you see a bunch of electrical fans on sale because summertime's coming up.
Yeah. And that summer sale I do on kitchen cutlery, only pans. In Minnesota, it is illegal to cross state lines with a duck on top of your head. Why?
That's really detailed.
I feel, what's the problem?
So is it okay to bring the duck over state lines if you're just like carrying
Sounds
him?
like as long as he's below your neck, you should be fine.
It's like on one side, you got the duck on, you take him off, you walk across, you put the duck back on again, you go on with your day. Everything's legal.
I can imagine the police briefings in the morning are like, all right, guys, we're low on the duck on the head quota. We need to make sure we get those done today because it's the end of the month.
Yeah.
Look, I know you all thought I was joking when I brought this up at the last monthly meeting, but I'm going to have to clarify again. The mayor's brought it in, and you guys are going to have to do it. So you're going to have to go out there and give some fucks about getting me in some ducks. That's the basically long and short of it.
If you got to plant them, you got to plant them. You know what? That's what we're going to have to do.
Throw some breadcrumbs. It's all good. We don't care.
Oh, plant them. I got it. I have this vision now of a cop just walking around with a bag of ducks.
Right.
Duck.
Sarah, can you hold this for a moment? You're now under arrest. Get in the back of my car.
No, it has to be on his head. You got to walk around just like slap on top of people's heads with duct tape.
Anyway, boys and girls, I think that is the end of the show for tonight. I would like to thank Elizabeth and David and Lydia for joining us and telling us all again about the magical world that is the Dark Offerings. Do you guys have any other upcoming projects and stuff that you would like to plug before the end of the show?
Good.
No.
Terrifier 2, anything?
Promoting this.
Yeah, Terrifier 2.
2.
Yeah, I got Terrifier 2 coming out later this fall.
Oh, nice.
We're, like I said, we're doing all the, negotiating about all the dates and stuff like that right now. But also I'm almost finished filming another film called Stream that, Elizabeth's involved in as well with some other members of this cast. So we got a lot of big name talent in that, like, Dee Wallace, Danielle Harris, Tony Todd, Jeffrey Combs, Daniel Roebuck. So it's
Tony Todd is a sensationally tall man.
Yes.
Yeah, he makes me feel short.
Imagine how I feel. I actually am short. We had to interview him one time. It was.
Oh boy, he's a
very
cool
nice
guy
dude.
though. He's so cool.
Yeah. Yet again, check out Dark Offerings on Amazon. If you haven't seen it, rent it or buy it. Send it to your family. Gift card it to people. Do whatever you need to. Get the movie out there because it's a goddamn masterpiece. Oh, sorry, I robbed your line, Buzz. Do you want to scream it at people? You scream it. Go for it.
Well, no, but I was going to say, did anybody else have anything to plug?
No.
I didn't know if anybody else was. Okay.
Just promoting this.
Just promoting the movie.
I didn't know.
And Stream.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. All right, guys.
Go ahead, sir.
That's good. That's going to be it from us for tonight. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button down below as it helps us get out into the magical world that is known as the YouTube algorithm that someday I'll figure out how it works. And someday, then I will take over the world. But other than that, we'll catch you all during the week. We're going to talk about some other sort of mad horror bollocks. GoreCast out, fuckers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Following is a paid-for promotion by Big Brian Brothers Pro Wrestling.